we're going to talk about Portland, Maine. And this is a little bit of a long article from Donnie over at Sludge, and it showed up in Truthout. David Moore, not Donnie, David Moore's partner, co-founder of Sludge. Sludge is a great independent outlet. They follow the money, and I love people that follow the money. And one of the things that we talk about is getting the money out of politics. How do we get the money out of politics? Well, the other thing we talk about is politics is local. So how do we start doing that? We start doing that at our local levels. And so David talked about with campaigns. Oh, so hang on, let me back up. And I didn't even read the headline, but the headline is Maine's biggest city will vote on public campaign financing measure. Well, that's cool, right? So with campaign spending on the rise in their city's elections, voters in Portland, Maine will decide this November on a ballot question that aims to level the playing field for local office seekers. About time. The ballot question, called Clean Elections, would create a voluntary public campaign financing program for candidates running for municipal office in Portland, one similar to a well-established program offered to candidates for state office in Maine. If approved, the Clean Elections program would make Portland the first municipality in Maine to offer public funding for candidates. The measure would also ban all candidates from taking corporate contributions, prohibit entities under foreign influence from making expenditures related to ballot questions, and enhance transparency of campaign contribution information. It's all very good stuff.
Well, to back up, prohibit foreign influence.
Yes.
That's a little weird.
I guess.
Like Russia, I imagine.
I was also thinking like multinational corporations not based in the United States, even.
That too, but
like Airbus, for example.
That would also
not like the town of Portland's going to buy an Airbus, but. So, the Clean Elections Initiative was approved to appear on the ballot on July 11th by the Portland Charter Commission, a body created in 2020 to review the changes to the city charter. The initiative then received the green light to appear on the ballot on September 1st from the City Council. The campaign backing the measure, Fair Elections Portland, says it will put power back in the hands of the people. Well, we like that. And empower elected officials to represent the people who elected them rather than special interests. Like that. Though the U.S. Census estimated Portland's population at a modest 67,000 as of 2020, city elections have become increasingly expensive. I think that's pretty much happening everywhere. But the most recent race for Portland and mayor in 2019 saw record amounts of money, with candidates raising into the six figures and PACs jumping in to back their preferred candidates. Right? Fair Elections Portland, which again is leading the effort on the ballot question, compiled figures showing that overall spending in the 2019 race for mayor was more than double that of the city's 2015 contest, just 4 years earlier. So, and over the past decade, candidate fundraising totals have also grown sharply in elections for Portland at-large council seats, district council seats, and school board races, according to the data from Fair Elections Portland. Somebody's giving money to these guys because it's actually having an effect. So, quote, in 2017, a group of Portland activists started talking about the increasing problem of money in politics at the local level. So this is campaign manager for the Yes on 3 campaign, the Clean Elections question. That's Anna Keller. Bless her. I mean, that's a lot. That's a huge undertaking. I want to get money out of politics locally, and so I'm going to start an initiative. That's like, they got to give awards and medals to people like that. What had always been low-key, local elections were becoming much more hotly contested and high spending, and with all the concerns that go along, could ordinary people afford to run? What kind of influence was it buying over local officials? And yes, it changes the conversation. So, with that problem, we were lucky to have a solution right in front of us. We already had a strong experience with using a clean election system at the state level. Passed by referendum in 1996, a long-standing and popular program. Candidates for state legislature in the Portland area use it, and there's a high degree of familiarity of it within the city. Okay? Decision was made to head a charter amendment for clean elections program. All good stuff. So this takes time. Again, In Maine, a voluntary public funding system for participating candidates for all state offices was passed by voters in 1996 as the Maine Clean Elections Act and strengthened by referendum in 2015. The program requires candidates to gather a certain amount of $5 contributions from voters in their district in order to qualify, then commit to only spending money they receive from the state while eschewing all private funding. They're giving up all private funding.
Yeah.
Well, look, this is city council. Like, you should not be taking money from local private interests and corporations to kowtow to what they're going to do and look at and do that over the best interests of the people that you represent, starting at the local level and moving up to the state and federal level. From 2016 to 2020 election cycles, 55% of state candidates participated in that grants program, according to March 2021 report from the group Democracy Maine. That's pretty remarkable. The report also shows that as of the 2020 election, public funding has grown to become the largest share of the state campaign spending after having been dominated by privately raised funding as recently as 2016. This is working. It's getting the money out. The private money. At its peak, up to 85% of the legislature used clean elections, according to Andrew Bossi, and he's the former executive director of MCCE, with 7 out of 10 women in office, saying that having a public financing option was very important to their decision to run. So again, it's inclusive. It's bringing in voices that would not ordinarily be able to run because they'd be priced out of the market. In Portland, Clean Elections program, proposed to start in 2023 and 24 elections, would, similar to the state system, issue funding for participating candidates who prove support from Portland residents, abide by limits on private contributions, and agree to take part in at least one public debate, among other things. I think that's awesome. As with the other public campaign financing programs in states and cities, city clerk's office would create a searchable online database of all campaign finance information. Transparency, how about that? Any unused funds in Portland's system would be returned to the Clean Elections Fund. Sounds reasonable. A cost estimate, ready for this one, prepared by the Charter Committee, placed the per cycle total of the whole program at about $290,000, an amount substantially less than candidates had been raising for mayor, even before including fundraising for city council and school board positions. I mean, this makes so much sense. In addition, the clean elections question would require the city to adopt rules that ban corporate contributions to municipal candidates for office and prohibit foreign entities from spending on ballot questions, whether by contributing to campaigns or by making direct expenditures. Now, the other thing I was thinking about on that foreign entities thing, if you remember, Foxconn bought out a town in North Carolina and then started to change the laws or lobby to have the laws changed. I believe they also bought the factory in Ohio that used to be the Lordstown Motors plant, and it might still be the Lordstown Motors plant, but it's now owned by a Chinese manufacturer. They also did that in Wisconsin. And when you start doing that and foreign companies buying major influence in these smaller municipalities, they start to push for more influence at the local level, whether that is in the best interest of the community or not. So in June of last year, the Maine legislature passed the Maine legislature passed and the governor signed a bill prohibiting corporate contributions to candidates, joining 23 other states and the federal government in the prohibition. We're starting to get the money out, like for real. Companies may still establish separate segregated fund committees or PACs and allow PACs to use their telephones and computers. Okay, that's not good. It's a start. And there's then talking about how the long path to the ballot, how long this path was. The clean elections question will appear on the November ballot after a delay of several years spent navigating legal questions. In the summer of 2019, organizations, including the League of Women Voters of Maine and Maine Citizens for Clean Elections, gathered enough signatures to place a clean elections question on the ballot, with over 8,000 signatures from Portland residents, right? In September 2019, however, the City Council voted to prevent the Citizens Initiative from appearing on the ballot mounting an argument that the initiative would instead require a lengthier charter revision process, a decision that triggered years of legal challenges from advocates, right? Keller says that in 2019, the coalition reached formidable signature threshold with volunteer efforts across the city, a, quote, combination of door-to-door, street corners, and farmers markets, and community meetings. One campaign volunteer led outreach in Portland's South Sudanese community. Another brought clean elections petitions to Portland arts and music venues. In the summer of 2020, the city put out a call for a charter commission, a process that Keller said opened up another path to the clean elections initiative to be approved to reach the ballot. She says that Fair Elections Portland groups work closely with commissioners, 3 appointed by the city council, 9 elected by voters, in reviewing the municipal proposal in light of the state's public financing system. Right? So this is now, they're looking at this from an economic standpoint. The Maine Commission on Governmental Ethics submitted a memo in September 2021, right, to the city's charter commission on best practices for administering a campaign finance program that included guidelines on auditing and bookkeeping. That's super important. How are you going to keep it clean? Because it would approve an amendment to the city charter, Keller said the initiative would provide dedicated funding for the program, insulating the clean elections program from the risk of funding being stripped by the city council from year to year. That is super important. They could not have to be threat. They could not, exist under threat. Quote, after being caught up in the process since 2019, this ballot question is a return to the core issue, the cost of running for office. Let's talk about the problem of money in politics and how clean elections can fix that. People need to know that they have the opportunity to turn out and vote for something really positive that they already support in the state. But not just in Portland, Maine, also this year, voters in Oakland, California will decide on a ballot measure that would create a public campaign financing option called Democracy Dollars for city candidates, a program similarly designed to increase participation in local politics and enable candidates from a wider variety of backgrounds to mount competitive campaigns for office. Public financing of elections is what we've always pushed towards, and getting the private money out.
For sure.
And these are substantial steps that I see actually happening. From grassroots.
The one country that seems to have politicians like fully supporting Assange, Australia, also has it. Public funding of elections, yes?
Yes. Well,
or it used to.
I think most countries, I know England, for example, bans private financing of elections. However, we found out that members of parliament are actually moonlighting and lobbying, moonlighting as employees of private corporations, which is probably pretty bad.
Yeah, and getting salary.
Yep. So, again, I'm so happy that we've got some public financing of elections happening, even at a local or municipal level. I think it's important, and Maine has always been on the forefront. They just recently implemented, I remember, ranked choice voting as well.